It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. Getting straight into our top story of the day, we actually have had a lot of focus lately on the new leaders in the West Bloomfield Police Department. But every day, we also have great people protecting Greater West Bloomfield in a number of other roles. Our team recently had the chance to speak with some of the officers at the West Bloomfield Police Department headquarters to learn why they got involved in law enforcement in the first place.
As a school resource officer, I, along with one other school resource officer, were responsible for most juvenile incidents that occur in the township as well as within the schools. I was a former school teacher for 5 years, so part of my heart is still in that aspect, and I believe it's a great way to impact the lives of students and West Bloomfield residents.
I always saw movies and TV shows growing up, and I just thought it was really interesting, especially seeing like the stuff in the courtroom afterwards and the investigations and things like that. I just thought it was really interesting.
My brother has cerebral palsy. He has special needs. I've spent my entire life working with people and being surrounded by people who need help and have a different lifestyle than the average person. And law enforcement has a lot of connections and goes out on a lot of mental health calls or helping those with special needs. And I kind of value to the department because I have a different perspective than other people have because I've grown up a different way. And my sense of wanting to put other people before me and having the responsibility of helping people and being the person that pulls them out if they need help comes from my family situation. And I know that going into law enforcement, I can help people that way.
Some very powerful reasons that hit very close to home for some of our local officers, by the way. But as cool and exciting as a job in law enforcement may be, it certainly comes with a share of challenges, as these officers share with us.
Most people don't realize that everything we do is different. Every call we respond to, it's different. Nothing is the same. So it's really hard to prepare for something when everything you do is different. And we deal with a lot of people with mental health crisis. And that's something that prior to doing this, I didn't realize I would be doing. But we help a lot of people going through, a crisis, and that's something that we're the first ones to respond to that.
We are on the radio with both police and fire at the same time that we're on the phone. We're doing a lot of paperwork at the same time, a lot of research at the same time, and we're managing court paperwork also sometimes at the same time. So we do a lot more than most people would think that we do.
We usually respond to, people having situations on their worst day. We usually don't interact with people having their best day. That's why they call us out there. So a lot of what we do is going out and assisting people with whatever problem they might be having that day. So it can be surrounded in some negativity at times, but that's why we do it, because we can go out to those people that are having a bad day and do what we can to make it better.
And it's not an easy job by any means, but our local police officers say the appreciation from the residents and the citizens of the greater West Bloomfield community makes all of the hard work worth it in the end.
Our residents are great with showing appreciation. We can almost depend on, like if you have to work Christmas Eve, New Year's Day, our residents feed us on those days, but just day-to-day response to calls, you are able to help and see appreciation with the people that you're helping on a day-to-day basis when you go on calls.
We're fortunate enough to work in a township here where we're supported by our population. Very frequently when we do go out to calls, people are thanking us, or just driving through subdivisions, driving down the road. People, wave to us, smile. So it feels good to be able to make an impact on the community in that way.
people come in, and even if it's like the smallest thing, like to you it's not a big problem, right? To somebody else it's a huge problem. And you give them all the resources, you figure out the answers for them, you figure it out. And like those people, they get so excited and they get so happy in their emotions, even if it's still not the greatest answer that they want, their relief is pushed off their shoulder. They feel like somebody's helping you. And seeing how much my help helps them and how all our resources work for them in solving all their issues is tremendous. And I stand by the fact that like you're not just the only person in the world. There's a million other people, and things don't work unless there's communication, and we're working as a community. I want to make my mark in the world, and I know that helping other people and showing them that I care means more than you could have ever known.
We know our police in West Bloomfield and in the Tri-Cities love to get to know the people that they serve and protect. So next time you're out and about, if you see one of our police officers, please just say hi, send a wave, or just spark a conversation to get to know them a little better. Even as temperatures drop, one local social run club isn't letting the winter season slow them down. I had the chance to join Fleet Feet's social run to see how they're staying active, connected, and motivated specifically during these colder months.
I've been running with the Fleet Feet Run Group when it was running fit since about 15 years ago. And the run group as itself kind of went away for a while, and now it's coming back. We're building that back up, and I'm happy to be a part of that.
So these are people that I've run with in other contexts as well. Some of these folks run out at Lake Orion, on the hills in Lake Orion, and I see them out there. I just enjoy that. It's a fitness activity and a social activity, social connection.
Fleet Feet's weekly social runs in West Bloomfield is open to runners and walkers of all skill levels. With the motto, "No runner or walker left behind," these meetings offer a supportive and welcoming community.
So I really like the diversity. I like how when it gets busy, everybody's talking to each other, because sometimes there's only a few people here to work and that, wait a little bit, but then like everyone entertains each other. It's just a really good community. I think it's a common medium, for people to come together.
Although Fleet Feet has multiple locations across Southeast Michigan, we asked why West Bloomfield is a great place to run.
So one of the largest things that I've found since being here at the West Bloomfield store is the West Bloomfield Trail. I think it's an amazing trail, whether you're walking, whether you're running, whether you're just trying to get out the door and enjoy the weather. The nature looks beautiful. The West Bloomfield Nature Preserve, really nice place, which we do have a group walk there on Mondays.
Despite the cold temperatures, the group meets every Wednesday evening, embracing the challenge and benefits of outdoor running. Even staff says it's not just about fitness, it's about friendship, positive energy, and the sense of accomplishment that comes with braving the elements.
I mean, we all know the winter months are slow, long, dark. Obviously, that doesn't help with people and their depression, general wellness. So being outside, being moving, seeing other people is just a really great way to lift the mood, lift the spirit, and breathe in that fresh air.
Whether you're aiming for a 3-mile walk or a 6-mile run, Fleet Feet ensures everyone feels included. Many runners say the group helps them stay motivated, build confidence, and connect with like-minded individuals in Greater West Bloomfield.
The run group has just a lot of people that really know a lot about running and how to start running and what it really takes and the struggles you have. It's never about speed, it's never about distance, just getting out and enjoying yourselves, having a social, and then making it a habit so that it's something that really becomes part of your life and your lifestyle.
So this group is very beneficial in terms of motivation. There's social connection. A lot of times it's easier to get out and do a run, especially in this crappy weather. Now, right now it's not icy, but sometimes it gets pretty dicey outside, and it's good to have somebody with you in case of an emergency, so you have somebody to call. And the camaraderie is helpful for motivation.
What an amazing example of how fitness and friendship can actually thrive no matter the season or the weather outside. So big thanks to Fleet Feet first and foremost for allowing us to come there to their event and their social run group. And also, if you are interested, pay them a visit. They are located on Orchard Lake Road at the shops at Orchard Mall, right across the street from the Orchard Mall, I should say. If you are driving your car out on the road, that means you are aware that there's snow, there's freezing temperatures, and a lot of different elements and factors that play into how we drive and how we take care of our vehicles. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to that. Winterizing your vehicle, some people say. So joining me right live on The Splash is someone from our local auto mechanic shop who can actually give us a little bit more details and insights. So from Midas Auto Repair in West Bloomfield, we have owner Alex Ho joining us. Thank you for being here, Alex.
Hey, of course. Thank you so much, Kevin.
I think you are in a very unique position and occupation, specifically in automotive and automotive repair in our community, because a lot of us, for the most part, we can experience car issues during the winter time. So from what you've seen, let's get straight into it. What are some of the most common car issues that you see during the winter months in West Bloomfield?
So unfortunately it's going to be really batteries. Extreme temperatures, hot and cold, will kill a battery. You got tires, right? It's getting icy. People that you lose air in your tires when the temperature drops. So we're getting a lot of customers with tire issues, and then issues with no heat. Right, this is the first time that people are using their heat and they're realizing that there's a problem with it, whether it's blowing hot or cold, whether it's blowing cold, or whether maybe it's not blowing air at all. So those are really the main three.
Okay. I'm glad you mentioned that. So I want to kind of step into those. Just a side quest real quick. Battery, tires, and heat. What are some signs that we can kind of see that our battery may be losing its power and may not be up to par for the winter season?
So the real way is batteries really only last between 4 to 6 years. So if you're in that window, you should be extra vigilant. Go to your repair shop, have them test your battery, and that's kind of the only way.
Right.
For that 4 to 6 year window. Also, when you go to a repair shop, sometimes you get a lot of information. It's hard to understand, hard to remember.
Mm-hmm.
But what's really common is that we'll see a battery, and batteries, they leak battery acid. They sometimes look like a coral reef. I don't know if you've ever gone into your storage room at home and you whipped out an old Duracell battery and it's got a coral reef growing on it. If you've ever been told that your battery has that, then you really want to get it cleaned off, because that battery acid, it corrodes the battery, kills the battery prematurely. It's not able to get a good connection. So you want to make sure that you're maintaining your battery well by making sure that those terminals are cleaned off.
Yes, please. I'm so glad you said it. I literally just recently had to replace my battery, so I can 100%.
Okay.
I can 100% relate to that. Yeah, it's important. My neighbors and a few people, so I completely understand. Real quick, tires also. I want to speak on it. Is there a certain amount of tread or something? What should we be looking for to make sure our tires are winter ready?
So tires are measured in 30 seconds of an inch. Most vehicles, like passenger vehicles, like your RAV4, your Camry, your Ford Escape, when they're new, you're at about 30 seconds of an inch. And when you want to replace your tires, when they get down to about 3 or 4, you can use the penny test, right, to check. But really around 3 or 4 is when you want to get your tires replaced.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you'll know. Proper tire maintenance is that you rotate your tires every 5,000 miles, which is really for most people twice a year.
Okay.
And so if you're doing that, your mechanic should be telling you, hey, your tires are at 7:30 seconds or 8:30 seconds or 4:30 seconds, so you know when to change your tires.
Thank you. Okay. And just for clarification also, when you mean rotate the tires, I want you to kind of explain that. You mean like take the tires and just switch out their location where they actually are?
Yeah, yep. Basically, the fronts go to the back go to the front.
Yep, thank you. I just want to break it down in the simplest terms. Joining me right here, live on the splash from Midas Auto Repair in West Bloomfield, we have owner Alex Ho talking about preparing our cars for the winterizing, and different things that we can do to be proactive with our vehicles. Now, we spoke on batteries, spoke on tires. Let's just get to the heat very briefly.
Yeah.
Because like you mentioned before, you really don't necessarily know whether or not your heat is working until the winter time. You can even maybe put it on during the summer and you can have the illusion that it's working, but maybe it's the outside heat. So just tell us some things that we can do to maybe even check to make sure our heat is working before the winter. What are some common reasons why heat wouldn't work in your vehicle in West Bloomfield, please?
Yeah, so the most common issue is really the heat's blowing, or you turn your heat on, you're getting air, but it's not warm. That's really, or it's coming out and it's just not powerful. It's not as warm as it should be. That's really nine times out of 10, that's related to the coolant, which is a fluid in your vehicle. Most vehicles have 5 major fluids, right? You got engine oil, power steering, transmission, and gasoline. Coolant is one of the major ones. And even though the name says cool in it, coolant is what's actually converted to turn into heat in your vehicle. All the science behind your engine, the coolant is really the blood of your heat. And so what we find is customers either are low on coolant, because it leaked out or it evaporated, or they have an issue with that system where it's leaking coolant. Coolant is, what happens is coolant over time will accumulate contaminants. It's just like, if you left a cup of coffee on your front counter, you're not going to probably drink that after 3 days because it might have some stuff in it.
Good point.
Same thing happens to your coolant. Over time, lots of contaminants get into it, and those contaminants, well, your engine's really hot, right?
Right.
And those contaminants burn up and evaporate, and then that fluid just gradually, naturally decreases. So it's something that you want to make sure you do a radiator flush or a coolant service. You do that routinely. Every car is different, but the hard and fast rule is about 50,000 miles, 5 years, and get some fresh coolant in there, and that'll make sure that your heat's running nice.
Oh, first of all, thank you, Alex, for that very valuable information. I'm kind of experiencing the same thing right now with the heat thing, so I'll have to make sure I check my coolant. And just for clarification also, antifreeze and coolant, are they the same thing?
They are. Yep.
Just want to paint that picture also. Thank you so much. Hey, Alex, we appreciate everything that you brought to the table, all of your valuable information. Any additional tips, practices, or notes that you want to give to our audience that we didn't discuss today about winterizing our vehicles?
Yeah, so on the topic of coolant, a lot of customers top off their coolant. And you just want to make sure that when you go to the gas station to buy it, or you go to the Advanced Auto Parts or wherever, you want to make sure that it's, because they sell it in concentrate, or they sell it in 50-50 where it's already been diluted with water. And you want to make sure that whatever you're putting in has been 50-50 diluted with water. Because if you put the straight concentrate stuff in there, it's not going to work. So just make sure you're doing that. Call me anytime. I'm happy to give that advice over the phone. I can look up the specification on your car, tell you what type of coolant you need so you get the right one.
Nice.
No, otherwise, yeah, I'm happy to be a resource and really appreciate being on the show.
And we appreciate you too, Alex. Thank you again for serving our West Bloomfield community, our drivers alike, and making sure that we are all safe. Once again, from Midas Auto Repair in West Bloomfield, owner Alex Ho. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Love to talk about things like that. That is very, very helpful. We talked about winterizing and protecting your pipes, your homes, and it's also very important for us to talk about our vehicles, which gets us around in the greater West Bloomfield community. Thank you again to Alex for that. Did you know Quitter's Day is officially designated as the second Friday in January, when our well-intended pledges of fitness and better eating go by the wayside? The destination comes from studies by data analysts of fitness app usage patterns. Now, are you still committed to your New Year's resolution? If not, you might need a little bit of motivation. So joining us right here live on The Splash is a motivational speaker from the positive shift, Stacy Renee. Thank you for being here, Stacy.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. Always a good morning to see you Splash.
Absolutely. So going straight into it, just using like a blanket conversation to start off and then dive deep, right? How can a greater West Bloomfield area residents start the new year off with a positive mindset, with all things considered, like the challenges we may face in our community?
I think the number one thing is to get in your head and constantly tell yourself, only I can be the change, only I can make the change. And that is something that I have used since the new year and a little bit before, because we all get in those slumps. We all you get in the daily routine, and then you're like, I wish I could do that. Well, you can. And, I need to eat better. Well, you can. So the number one step is your mindset. 100%. If you think you can, then you will. If you're wishy-washy, then you're probably gonna not succeed as best as you would like to. So remember this, only you can be the change, only you can make the change. And that's the first place to start, I'd say.
That's correct. I agree with that. Attitude reflects your mentality, so you want to adjust your mentality first, so then it comes out into a great attitude, great actions that you give out to the universe. That's a great start right there. So kind of moving into a little bit more of the specifics, do you have any recommended strategies for people who may be dealing with loneliness, some of the empty nesters right here in Greater West Bloomfield, or even people experiencing isolation during these cold winter months?
Absolutely. It's really hard and difficult sometimes when you are sitting on your couch and you're cozy in your blanket. Oh, let me watch another movie or series on TV, or let me just get attuned to the social media, and you can get sucked into that. So put a limit on your time, set timers on your phone or whatever it is that you have. And if you have some friends that you can start a text thread with, get an accountability partnership with friends, buddies, whoever it is. We recently started that in our neighborhood, and we got on a text thread, and we're called The Walkers, and we walk anywhere from 5:30 to 5:45 in the morning, and we wake up and we put like a little sunshine, or we say GM, which is good morning, and getting off the couch is the number one key. Again, only you can be the change, only you can make the change. And so we all did that, and it has been proven that having someone accountable is 100% the first step to change as well as believing in mindset.
I would agree with that. I got to a point where me and my close friend kind of had that thing. We stay like less than 10 minutes away from each other. And we're like, just check in with each other every now and then, come over, just, kind of just talk. And, just kind of, that way you don't feel like you're just in this box, especially during these very blistering cold winter months like we talked about. But for the example of someone not having a friend, dealing with isolation in real time, you have any thoughts, or can you share insights on how community-driven initiatives can actually help support residents' mental health as well?
Absolutely. I just, before you came on, I heard you talk about the West Bloomfield Parks and Rec. They have some phenomenal programs, but you have to take the initiative and say, you know what? Once a week, I'm going to get out and do something, or check the calendar of what they had. And you just talked about the fitness, and it is the most amazing thing when you can just make yourself go. Is it going to be uncomfortable because maybe you don't know anybody there? Absolutely. Only you can be the change, only you can make the change. And that's something that you have to constantly remind yourself. And if you want to make the change, then just get out. See what is going around in your local community. Is it easier to sit on the couch? Yeah.
All day.
Is it harder to get out? Yeah. But again, this is real life, and making yourself do something is just being confident and telling yourself, I can do this. Because if you sit there and say, you know what? I can't do this. I just, you know what? I'm just going to sit here. I don't know. I'm not going to know anybody. Well, you're already talking yourself out of it.
Boom.
And I think that that's the key, is when you get that thought in your head, you have to immediately change it. The faster that you change it, the faster you're able to change your mindset. And in this day and age, your mindset is everything you have. You are in control of your outcome. You are in control of your schedule, and you are in control of your feelings and getting yourself out of it. Or if you want to stay in it, then that's what you're going to do. But take control. See what is going on in the community. Again, the thing that you just came with, that they have these programs, that's huge. That's huge. And West Bloomfield has such a great community network. They're inviting, they open your arms and say, hey, come join us. And for the community members, if you see someone that maybe you didn't recognize, be that change for that person. Go up and introduce yourself, and then make them feel comfortable, because we've all been in that situation and that spot. And I think not only does it take one individual, but it takes everybody. Again, open your arms, be inviting.
Yes. Yes. See, and you stepped on so many different factors of it, but ultimately what I want to say, the last point that you made, which is extending that hand, just extending that branch of being open and being welcome, and just, hi, how you doing? I'm such and such from such and such, how are you? And just introducing yourself to new people. That's something that I feel like we lack a little bit more nowadays, that interactive, that one-on-one personal connection with people. But I understand some of the thoughts against it, I will say, but we have to open up a little bit more. For different results, we have to have different actions. So I'm glad you said that. But joining us right here live on The Splash, motivational speaker from The Positive Shift, Stacy Renee, talking about how we can continue to stay dedicated to our New Year's resolutions of a more positive mental mindset and mental health. So we spoke on a lot of these social stressors, right? For the most part, isolation and things of that nature during the winter. But what about some of the things that people may be dealing with in regards to financial stressors? Are there any strategies or suggestions that you have for people who may be stressing over finances?
Absolutely. Coming off the holiday, probably spending a little bit more than you anticipated, and now it's crunch mode, like, oh my gosh. So we actually are trying something new for January, and we're doing a no-spend January. And we're only spending it on the absolute necessities, as far as like gas or just the main necessities that you can't go without. Go through your cupboards, see what fun foods that you can make or put together. Is it going to be the best dinner or the best breakfast or lunch? Probably not, but be creative. Start like kind of cleaning out what you already have. And as far as going out, when you meet with friends, you don't always have to spend money. Take a cup of coffee or make your own tea and go meet with someone. Say, hey, would you like to come over? So there are definitely ways that you can have a January, maybe February, that you don't have to go out and spend crazy. Know your finances and what you maybe overspend, and just kind of take it there. And just remember day by day. And if you want to get something on Amazon or wherever it is, put it in your cart and leave it there. And if you really feel the need in February to get it, then go for it. Okay. But, just have a plan and try a fun no-spend January, just like a dry January or whatever you want to do. No-spend January, dry January, and exercise January. Ooh. Start it off. New beginnings, fresh starts.
Easier said than done, but
it
commitment.
Is, but it's not.
Commitment. There you go. Accountability buddy if you need it, or whatever the case may be. But just know that this is part of the long-term goal. Break it down however you need to. Take it day by day. I love those recommendations, by the way. Let's also get into self-care, because that kind of helps with our mentality, right? Getting yourself together, making yourself look good, feel good. I want you to explain the role that self-care plays in maintaining a positive look for yourself and for the world.
You know what? Only you can be the change. Only you can make the change. So if you want to start getting up every morning, maybe it's just one day a week you put makeup on. You have yourself. Put sticky notes on your mirror, and how you wake up in the morning. And I keep saying this because it is so crucial. How you wake up in the morning sets the tone for your day. Have a sticky note. Put it in the mirror and say, I love you. I'm going to have a great day. What can I do for you today to make you happy or successful? And you're going to think about that all day. Have a sticky note in your car when you go out. But take the time to care about you, because let me tell you, if you don't do it for yourself, nobody else is going to. And one of the biggest suggestions that I can say for your self-care is get your own personal calendar. They have complimentary calendars all over. Make this calendar just yours. If you are trying to lose weight, weigh yourself one day a week and just put your weight at the top and watch yourself. And if you go up like a pound or half a pound, to say, you know what? I'm going to be more mindful of what I put in my mouth. Exercise. Put an X on the days that you don't exercise. And when you see a couple X's every day, you're like, ooh, I should be doing that. If you don't have time to exercise, all of a sudden when you're brushing your teeth, you're going to do it 2 times a day. I want for you to do squats for about 2 minutes. How many squats can you get in? There are ways that you can just do this. It's being mindful and aware. Sticky notes are a godsend. Have your own calendar. And then that way you can kind of see success. And when you see things and you write down things, it helps you be more accountable and more aware. And then also, if you are kind of in a slump and you're at home and you're like, I just am home, I don't want to go out anywhere. Again, take that one day to put makeup on, make yourself feel good, and just do it and see how you feel. And if all else fails, put some music on and dance around. Something that makes you feel good, and that will totally change your energy and your mind. If you're crying and you're dancing, that's okay, because it will help get it out. Get it out, let it go, and music makes you feel good.
The music.
So calendar, music,
Yep.
and the sticky notes.
Yes. Great points, by the way. I used to have sticky notes around, and that helped me. Those were like my power words, my value words. The calendar thing, putting the X on the days that you don't work out, that could be a great visual also. And just everything else that you mentioned. We appreciate your advice. We appreciate your time. Stacy, before we let you go, any additional advice, tips, strategies that you want to give to people to help start the year off and finish the year off with that positive mindset?
Yes. Please remember the mantra, and that's why I keep saying it, because the more you hear it, it takes about 7 times for us to really hear. Only you can make the change, only you can be the change. And I keep saying that because that is so true. And then, you know, one of my favorite things is your mindset sets you forward, and you can always say, I am awesome, successful, and smart. I succeed at what I put my mind to. And just say that over and over when you start to feel negative, you start to have negative thoughts. Stop it. Cancel, clear, delete it out, and then move forward with you are an awesome, successful, smart, and you succeed at what you put your mind to. Get the calendar, make the change. You can be the change.
Perfect place to land. Thank you so much for your time and your great information. Once again, motivational speaker from The Positive Shift, Stacy Renee. Thank you again.
Thanks.
Stacy, we appreciate you for bringing so much great information and providing tools and inspiration to help individuals embrace positivity and make an impactful life change. We'll continuously keep you updated with more tips and practices to get you in a positive mindset. Coming up, we'll be talking about classes that will be offered to community residents to help them better prepare and defend themselves. We'll get into that very soon. Right now, we are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry, Park Superintendent at West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable.
The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
What people are watching in West Bloomfield. Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Thank you for joining us today. I am your host, Kevin McIntosh. And later on in the month, there will be an opportunity for you to take a self-defense and pepper jail training class that's actually here, and it's intended for the opportunity for women in the greater West Bloomfield area between 20 and 55 to better prepare themselves and feel more confident in their ability to protect themselves. Joining us right here live on The Splash is a member, or I should say the instructor for that class, Director of Community-Wide Security for JCC. We have Gary Sikorsky. Thank you for being here, Gary.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
Doing just fine. Thank you for asking,
Great.
sir. Such a unique class and training that we are offering. I'm so glad that we are highlighting this. I want to kind of go to the why of it. What inspired the idea for this self-defense and pepper jail training class?
Well, I think, it's important for everybody to know how to protect themselves. And even more important than protecting themselves is how to avoid problems, how to foresee things, how developing a sense of situational awareness. Ideally, we would like to have a community of first responders. So it's all part of an ongoing process that we offer to the community in resiliency, self-defense, active assailant training and response, as well as stop the bleed, CPR, AED training. So it's a holistic approach. And this class coming up on the 16th, actually, it's right around the corner tomorrow, hosted by Hadassah, is one of those programs. And so it's a way for people to engage, to develop that sense of confidence as well as resiliency.
Perfect. Now, what I want to ask you next, I feel like I know the answer to this, but I would love for you to elaborate a little bit more. What do you want the participants to ultimately take away from attending this event?
So ultimately, that sense of confidence and awareness. I think, many times people don't know what they don't know, and this class is not intended to scare people or freak people out, but it's intended to develop that sense of awareness. And so, it's a lot easier to stay out of trouble than to get out of it once you're in it. But we do prepare for the worst case scenarios. The class highlights, it's really a three-prong approach, and that is developing that awareness, situational awareness, being aware of things around you, and how to stay engaged. Everybody is so busy right now that you could have the greatest intentions of staying alert, but between the phones and thinking about what we have to do next, we're often not engaged in the moment. And there's certain times, more so than others, that you need to be alert and aware of your surroundings. So we teach people how to do that. It's easy. It'd be easy to tell you and everybody, all of the listeners here and the viewers, hey, stay alert, be aware of your surroundings, but then real life gets in the way.
Yes.
So we give you ways to stay alert, hooks, if you will, to sort of live by that will keep you in the moment. The second part of the class is hands-on self-defense, some very basic, very effective self-defense techniques. And then the last part is the pepper gel training, and that's a great equalizer, a force multiplier, with one press of a thumb, you've unleashed 5 million Scoville heat units of OC, and it is a force multiplier and a great equalizer.
Sheesh. All right now. We talking actions now. Thank you for going there, Gary. We appreciate it. Very briefly, before I move on, my curious mind has me wondering, you're saying pepper gel. What's the difference between pepper gel and pepper spray? Is it the same thing?
So it's essentially the same thing. So pepper spray works as the same ingredients, but there's a cross-contamination. So when you spray a stream or a gel, the small particulates that are aerosolized that go into the air. And so depending on the environment, if you're outside, it's probably not a big deal. If you're inside, there could be cross-contamination, whereas pepper gel, there isn't that atomization or aerosolization. It stays in the stream, and there's no cross-contamination. I could deploy this canister inside my office, and there would be but a hint of maybe pepper in the air. Right. Whereas if I use the stream, we're going to have to probably, evacuate and hit the bricks after spraying that to get out of the contaminated area.
That's very. First of all, thank you for clarifying that. But that's that's another element of using pepper spray that I don't think a lot of people necessarily know, especially if you've never used or been around pepper spray. Once it's sprayed in the air, depending on your atmosphere, it'll affect not only the person you intended it, but probably everybody around also in a negative way.
Exactly, and depending on the environment, if you're in a hospital or a shopping center, a public area, that could cause some issues. We see the cases where kids go off to college and they have pepper spray, and the whole dorm has to be evacuated, or the whole movie theater has to be evacuated because of that. The other thing is, like you pointed out, Kevin, a very interesting and important point. That people buy pepper spray and they think it's easy to use. You point and spray. There's a little bit more to it. And in our classes, we actually use inert canisters where the participants get to spray a water-based solution. And not only do they get to spray it and go through all of the functions of it, but often they get to spray me. And so as the attacker, they get to actually deploy it in a little bit more of a dynamic environment to develop that muscle memory and that conditioning that's important, so that when the time comes, they have confidence in using it.
Kudos to you, Gary. Kudos for volunteering to get sprayed. I know it's not real pepper spray that they'll be using on you, but just kudos to you. That just shows your level of commitment and dedication to this class and the self-empowerment for the local women in our area. And I want to dig into that a little bit more. But with us right here, live on the Splash, Director of Community-Wide Security for JCC, Gary Sikorsky, talking about the upcoming Women's Self-Defense Training and Pepper Gel courses, or class, I should say, that'll be happening January 16th at the Hadassah. Did I say that correct?
That's correct.
Perfect. Okay, so Gary, I want to continuously dive into this. Without giving us all the tips and the secrets, just keeping maybe as generic as possible, as the Director of Community-Wide Security, are there any critical self-defense tips that you would like to share with the West Bloomfield community now?
So I think just if I have just a brief time, there's two things I would like to say is that what we do a reaction time drill, and that talks about a person's, action is always faster than reaction. So it impresses and illustrates the importance of distance. And so the one key thing is don't let people get up close to you. There's only two ways to attack somebody, right? You can stalk and hide, and surprise attack, an ambush attack, or you can sort of schmooze your way up to somebody, stalk them, get close under the pretense of asking for directions or conversation. And so if you're in these types of situations, the thing that we emphasize is try to maintain distance and put obstacles between you. The second thing I would say is 10 seconds to safety. It's one of the hooks that I mentioned earlier. And that is, if I ask you to invest a lot of time in personal safety, it's like an exercise program. You're all in the beginning, and then you sort of drift away from it. It has to be easy, and it has to be memorable. And so 10 seconds of safety are one of the ideas that we employ, and that is, take 2 seconds as you're approaching an area. Look around. Do things look normal? Is it as you expected? Is there a big crowd and you didn't expect anybody there, or vice versa? Is there police caution tape and white chalk outline on the ground?
Oh, wow.
That's a clue, we call it, to stay maybe away from that area. Yeah. 2 seconds as you get out of the car, look around. Now you're out of that environment where you're closed, windows up, you're stepping out, you can look around. 2 seconds as you approach the location. 2 seconds at the door before you go in or as you're going in. Is everything as it's expected? And then in reverse, right? As you're leaving, 2 seconds to check things out as you're walking back to your car from the drugstore or the shopping center, and you look out and there's a white panel van parked next to your vehicle in a desolate parking lot. Well, we've all seen enough episodes of Criminal Minds to know that white panel vans are up to no good, right?
That's
and so
right.
Unless it's in the driveway with a plumbing logo on it, a white panel van parked next to my car is something I should be aware of. And so we have fun during the training, but we try to leave people with takeaways.
And I like that. Essentially, like, I understand some of the references that you were making. And, like you said, you want it to be easy and rememberable. You want people to easily go back to it, to be like, oh, this is what I learned, 2 seconds or 10 seconds, or check this, or look around, and, that type of thing. So I'm glad. And you know what I want to focus on now? The fact that from my notes, I'm saying this is an opportunity for women in their 20s to age 55 specifically. Now, let's go to that. What makes this training event particularly valuable for the women in that specified age group?
I think those are individuals that are often most likely to be out in public, to have families as well, to pass that information on. Listen, we don't discriminate by age. We do other classes where we have teenagers and young children in the class, and then we do classes for all age ranges. And we offer that training to our community agencies as well as other faith-based organizations. And so it's just, these were the parameters put on for this class. Right. And because of that, we can tailor the hands-on techniques to that age group and tailor some of the information, maybe a little more targeted to a targeted audience.
Yes, yes. And I just ultimately wanted you to paint that picture and just give a little bit more insight into that. And thank you for also letting us know for this event specifically, it may be targeted for that demographic, but you do offer other classes and courses for all women, all ages, and things of that, and different residents of the community. Thank you for providing that. With us right here, live on The Splash, Director of Community-Wide Security for JCC, Gary Sikorsky, talking about this upcoming self-defense empowerment class for the women of Greater West Bloomfield. Now, you said something earlier I want to kind of touch on. You said the fact that this class is not to think that there's something wrong or there's danger to be aware of. It's really like a proactive kind of like thing. So can you just talk about how hosting events like this contributes to creating a safer and more empowered community?
So I think, there's a number of studies that show that victims of crimes, victims of assaults, do fare better afterwards, not only physically, but emotionally, if they've been empowered and have that sense of resiliency going in, that people are not powerless. And so from that standpoint, from the mental health standpoint and the resiliency standpoint, this training is invaluable. And then just the personal confidence that comes with it. I think, one of the things that I talk about during the class is that I say, listen, when we advocate you having a canister of pepper spray, the hope is that you never have to use it. But if you develop that discipline to bring it with you, look, I could have a can of pepper spray in every jacket pocket, every glove box, every briefcase, every backpack that I have, but I don't. I have one or two that I carry with me all the time. That way, when I go home, I hang it up. Before I leave the house, I grab it. And what I tell the participants in the class, you having the discipline and the mindset of taking this with you and having it available is the equivalent of Sikorsky tapping you on the shoulder every time you leave the house, whispering in your ear, saying, pay attention, look around, be aware.
I love that. Just not, if I were to be in that situation, right, let me grab my pepper spray. I'm thinking of you just tapping me on my shoulder. Kevin, pay attention, be aware. I love that. Hey, we don't want to hold up too much more of your time. Just a few things. First and foremost, any other additional tips, information that you want to give out to the community regarding safety or this event at all, and then just land the plane, just talking about the details of the event.
So I can tell you that in a general sense, I would just reiterate what I've said. It's just pays to pay attention, right? It's just a lot easier to stay out of trouble and to know what to look for. We live in a very safe community, West Bloomfield Police Department. I work very closely with the police department. We have excellent public service and public safety in this community. And so from that standpoint, it's a very safe community, but it always pays to pay attention. And so from that standpoint, there's, it's not like there's a crime wave or anything going on. This is to develop that self-resiliency, that community resiliency, and self-confidence, and to have the ability, when it comes down to it, to protect yourself if needed. So I would leave you with that. And then as far as the details, these types of organizations contact us. We're happy to service the community agencies, the faith-based organizations, Jewish Community Security, JCSI, we call it. We work very closely with the JCC. We work very closely with the Jewish community, but we also work very closely with all of the other faith-based organizations and other community agencies. I have a team of highly trained security professionals. Most of them are not most, all are former law enforcement with extensive training backgrounds. So it's whether I'm doing the training or one of our team members is doing the training. It is high speed, enjoyable, and provides you a lot of takeaways that are a tangible, useful information.
Gary, first and foremost, I want to thank you not only for being here, but for leading the charge in this type of class. For the most part, we all have mothers, sisters, girlfriends, even friends who are women also. And I think we all want them to feel empowered and confident when they're out by themselves. So thank you for doing this for our community in Greater West Bloomfield. And thank you again for your time. Once again, Director of Community-Wide Security for JCC, Gary Sikorsky. We appreciate you for being here again. Now, as we are all experiencing the winter time, one thing that you may or may not be considering is your pet. Are you allowing your pet to go outside? How often are you allowing that? Are you dressing your pet? How are you taking care of your pet during the winter season? And this is why we are being joined now by someone who is giving us great tips and practices for taking care of our pets during the winter time. And right now on the Splash, we have owner of Premier Pet Supply in West Bloomfield, Jeff Nagar. Thanks for being here, Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
Let's talk about it. First and foremost, our extended family members, our pets, our loved ones. We love them. We want to make sure they're properly taken care of. From everything that you know, what are some of the most important steps that pet owners here in West Bloomfield should take to best prepare our pets for the winter?
Well, first and foremost, just like us, we want to keep them inside and keep them warm. You know, with the weather getting cold and with it getting windy, you know, just like the wind chill affects us, it affects the pets the same way. We want to be prepared and keep them inside for the most part when it does get to those extreme colds. Now, if it's in the 30s and 40s, by all means, let's take them out and have some fun. But when it's a super cold, you know, limit the potty time to a few minutes to get them in and out, because just like us, they're going outside with no clothes on. You don't want to be naked outside. It's not fun.
Definitely not fun. I wasn't expecting that angle, but that's a good one. Yes, you go out there, take care of your business. Bring our pets back in as soon as possible. Are there any common hazards that pets face during the winter months that owners can actually mitigate some of these risks?
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times when you're taking your dog out for a walk, the municipalities and landlords will put out rock salt, which is great for us. It gets rid of the ice. But it's not safe for their pads and paws. So what you want to do is either put some kind of waxy ointment on the bottom of their pads, like Mushroom Secret that we carry, or a paw soother or a paw protection, or booties, and that'll help keep their pads safe. Because a lot of times when you're looking at their pads, the ice balls will get kind of in between their finger, or in between their toes, I should say, and that's where it can really hurt them. And that's what you want to protect.
Oh, my goodness. And I never even thought about that. Those huge chunks of salt that they put out there, I can just imagine. And if we go back to thinking like us, if you go out there and just step on those with your bare feet, it will hurt so much. I don't care if it's the summertime, it will hurt. So that's another great thing. I'm glad you brought that up. But let's continuously piggyback on that, right? You mentioned some products and supplies that owners can get for that. Are there any other recommended tips or products for protecting our pet claws, paws from the salt, the ice, and then in the weather in general during the winter?
Yeah, we carry the whole gambit. You know, we have Pet Safe Ice Melter. Paw Thaw is one of the brands that you put down. So if they go to step on it, it's not going to hurt their feet. And like I mentioned, there's booties. There's ointment you can put on. We also have sweaters. We have jackets. And sometimes we have goggles, depending if you're going to go skiing or snowboarding, or the dogs still want to put their face outside when it's cold when you're driving. So there are a lot of different things that we have that'll help protect your pets in this cold weather.
Yes, yeah, and I love some of the things that you named. This is probably one of the only times I can legitimately say booties on here, and we're referring to pet supplies. That helps them during the winter, so don't come after me, FCC. But thank you for providing that information, and once again, joining us right here live on The Splash, owner of Premier Pet Supply in West Bloomfield, Jeff Nagar, talking about how we can keep our pets safe and actually enjoy the winter. Now that I think about it, let's talk about that now, Jeff. Is there any way that our pet owners can safely and actively keep our pets engaged during these colder months while minimizing exposure to the cold?
Yeah, so, in the summertime, we're not really worried about them, getting too cold. And there might be, a little bit of heat that you have to watch out for. But in the wintertime, they get cold a lot quicker. So if you're going for that typical 2-mile walk, maybe limit it to half a mile. If you're going to be playing outside, play on the snow and not the cement. You can still play fetch, you can still play frisbee. You just don't want to do it for an extended period of time. And if you do, make sure they have the proper, attire, whether it's a jacket or a sweater, like I said, or definitely make sure their pads are covered on their paws so they're not getting too cold or getting frostbite or any of those ice balls that are built up and hurting them when they walk.
You know what, Jeff? You know what I just thought of? So outside, it's extremely cold, right? We all know that. Inside, to kind of combat that, we turn the heat up. We have space heaters, fireplace, things of that nature, to make sure that we are warm. But sometimes our pets could possibly be overheated or things of that nature, and kind of going in between that heat and that ice cold. How can we kind of gauge whether or not our heat could be too hot indoors for our pets as well?
So, room temperature is the best way to put it. I typically keep it, 70 or 72, depending on how cold it is outside. And it's going to affect our pets the same way. If you don't have the heat on to keep it warm enough in the house, they're going to shiver. So, you can put a blanket on them when they're sleeping, or if they're hanging out on the couch with you. You can have different activities you can do inside the house to keep them active and keep their their blood flowing. I like recommending snuffle mats because that'll keep them occupied, especially if you can't get outside with it being extremely cold. Those are great options that'll keep them working and keep the brain moving and just keep them active in a time when there's not too much activity going on.
Thank you for also saying that also, because I just thought about that as we were talking so much about the outside. I'm like, yeah, inside we make it warm for ourselves, but depending on the breed of the dog, it can be too hot for them. So I appreciate you for putting that in perspective also. With us right here live on The Splash, Premier Pet Supply owner Jeff Nagara, talking about some tips and reminders to make sure our pets are accommodated during this winter time also. Are there any additional tips, resources, products that we did not discuss in regards to keeping our pets safe and comfy during the winter before we let you go, Jeff?
There are heated beds out there that we have in the stores. There are just beds in general. The biggest thing is if you want to keep your animal, or your pet, I should say, your family member, a little warmer or a little cooler, you can get something that's, up off the ground. So instead of having a flat mat, have a bed that has sides on it where they can snuggle up and snuggle in. And like I said, blankets are the best way to add that additional warmth, just like we have when we go to sleep at night.
Perfect. Make sure our babies are taken care of, nice and secure, just like we all want to be. And I appreciate that perspective also. Thank you again for your information. And owner of the Premier Pet Supply in West Bloomfield, Jeff Nagara, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Great tips and practices, making sure that we are all more conscious and aware of taking care of our additional family members, also known as our pets. So thank you again, Jeff, for that. Sled hills are open with West Bloomfield Parks. It is snow time in West Bloomfield with fresh snow covering Michigan and our greater West Bloomfield area. Recently, West Bloomfield Parks is inviting you and your family to enjoy winter fun with their 2 fantastic sled hills. Head over to Marchbank Park and enjoy that sled, or you can sled at the hill behind the West Bloomfield Township Public Library at the Civic Center campus to make the most of all this chilly and snowy weather. Make sure you grab your sled, bundle up nice, hat, gloves, scarf, etc., and get ready to explore the outdoors this winter in greater West Bloomfield. For more information regarding their hills or winter activities, visit West Bloomfield Parks on their Facebook page at WB Parks for more information. The West Bloomfield Educational Foundation is bringing the fun to our community with their casino night. Get ready for this unforgettable evening. West Bloomfield Educational Foundation's Casino Night, which will be Friday, February 7th, 2025 at the Glen Oaks Golf Club in Farmington Hills. It's an exciting event that supports innovative programs and educational opportunities for students and teachers right here in the West Bloomfield School District. You can choose from 3 ticket levels: the $50 Card Shark, the $100 Diamond, or the $150 High Roller, each packed with gaming chips, raffle entries, appetizers, desserts, and late night pizza. You cannot miss this event. And if you are looking for more information or looking to support outside of attending, go directly to their website, wbef.org for more information. And we appreciate you for watching and listening with us right here on Civic Center TV. It's always greatly appreciated as we keep you up to date with the latest tips, practices, and happenings in Greater West Bloomfield. I've been your host, Kevin McIntosh. Thank you to our producers in the field. And we are live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.